Chloe works as an escort. She is very good at what she does, which is why she usually serves wealthy and influential clients. From a window, Dr. Catherine Stewart notices her. Catherine works as a gynecologist, and she believes that there's nothing mysterious about intimacy. In her view, it is simply the body's reaction to stimulation. Her husband David works at a university. One of his students clearly has a crush on him. At the end of the lecture, she invites him to dinner with the rest of the students, but the man refuses. It is his birthday today. He has to catch a flight that leaves in an hour and a half. Catherine wanted to throw her husband a huge surprise party and invited many friends to their house. The plane landed 40 minutes ago, and David should arrive home any minute now, but instead their son Michael comes home and quietly slips into his room with his girlfriend. Suddenly, the phone rings, and right in front of all the guests, Catherine learns that her husband missed the flight, so he will arrive on the next one late at night. At that exact moment, the same student approaches him. The celebration Catherine worked so hard on is ruined. Meanwhile, the girl their son brought home stayed overnight without even asking permission. As if nothing happened, David gets ready for work in the morning. He warns Catherine that he will stay late again today because of a university committee meeting. David prefers to have breakfast at a cafe on the way to work. The half-dressed young guest from their son's room briefly appears again and claims she just arrived. In reality, she has been here many times before. Her father already knows that the girl occasionally spends the night here. The only person who was never asked was the mother. Catherine asks them if they at least use protection. They answer that they do. At that moment, Catherine notices a message on David's phone. "Thank you for last night. Kisses, Miranda." There is also a photo of David together with Miranda. During a concert, Catherine feels tears forming in her eyes, but she forces herself to stay composed. They are supposed to have dinner with a family friend named Frank and his young girlfriend. David flirts with the waitress, while Frank openly makes out with his companion. Catherine feels uncomfortable. She goes to the restroom, lets her hair down, and tries to calm herself. From the neighboring stall, someone asks for toilet paper. Their hands briefly touch. A pretty blonde named Chloe finds a hair clip and offers it to Catherine as a gift, but Catherine ignores the strange woman and quickly returns to the table. Meanwhile, Frank jokingly identifies which women in the restaurant are escorts. Catherine realizes that the woman from the restroom is probably one of them. Later in the car, Catherine asks her husband about the waitress. David claims he was not flirting. He says he was just being friendly. Catherine also brings up the fact that he missed his flight. Through careful questions, she tries to catch him in a lie. David denies celebrating his birthday with anyone. From her office window, Catherine later watches the same mysterious blonde woman walking toward a nearby hotel where she works. After work, Catherine goes to the restaurant inside that hotel. The blonde woman immediately sits down at her table and asks Catherine to buy her a drink. Chloe explains that she rarely meets with women. Usually she works with couples. But Catherine is not there for herself. She wants to hire Chloe for her husband. She believes David may be cheating on her. Chloe could help her find out the truth. They need to test how David will react to her. Catherine describes her husband as a very handsome man. She also tells Chloe where she can usually meet him. The best idea would be to introduce herself as a student. Chloe approaches her target in a cafe and asks David for some sugar. They exchange a glance. David smiles at her. Catherine withdraws money to pay the escort. Chloe begins telling her what happened. After the sugar incident, David approached her and started a conversation. He asked her name. According to Chloe, he was not even flirting. He was simply being friendly. Chloe then shares some secrets about how she seduces her clients. She also says she is happy Catherine appeared in her life. Catherine pays her and asks her to test David one more time. At home, David laughs while chatting with someone online. Their son is crying because his girlfriend broke up with him. Catherine goes to his room. Michael immediately shuts the door in her face. David admits that he spoke with the student. Catherine complains that she has lost connection with their son. David tells her to relax and offers her some whiskey. He remembers how they used to be much closer. They constantly showed attention to each other, but work has taken all their time. Now Catherine hopes for intimacy, but David says he has to check students' assignments.
The next morning, Chloe sends Catherine a message and asks to meet. Catherine already regrets starting this whole situation. She wishes she could forget everything. But Chloe has already met with David. They had lunch together. According to Chloe, David could not stop looking at her. Then he tried to kiss her. He hesitated for a moment, but eventually they went somewhere private. They found a secluded place in a greenhouse, and according to Chloe, they spent a long time there. Catherine is upset. Chloe was only supposed to meet David and observe his reaction. Catherine wants to leave as quickly as possible. But right in front of her eyes, Chloe suddenly falls off her bicycle. Catherine helps her like a doctor. While treating the wound, Chloe apologizes for what she did. They stay in a cafe until evening. Chloe describes everything that happened with David in detail. In the greenhouse, how she had to use her hand. Catherine decides to continue the experiment, but she needs to be completely sure that Chloe is healthy, so Chloe must take tests for HIV and other diseases. At home, in the shower, Catherine imagines David with Chloe. She lowers the shower head below her waist. Soon, Chloe appears at Catherine's workplace. Michael notices her and they exchange a few words. For some reason, Chloe follows him. She introduces herself and begins charming him. First, Chloe leaves the room, then Michael comes out. Catherine hopes they did not talk. Chloe rushes to tell her that everything will happen tonight after dinner. During breakfast with friends, Catherine cannot stop thinking about the previous night. Everything supposedly happened in room 211 of the hotel she already knows. Her friends notice that Catherine behaves like someone who is having an affair. Catherine runs to the hotel and enters the room. The bed is messy. Chloe is in the bathroom, naked after a shower. She sits down in a chair and begins telling her story. She says she met David in the park. He rented the room, watched the news for a while, and then suggested going to bed. Chloe slowly describes every detail. She notices that her story excites Catherine, but by the end, Catherine begins to feel uneasy. Catherine gives Chloe another envelope with money and then takes Chloe's glass with lipstick on it and drinks from it. Near the elevator, Catherine remembers how David and she used to do everything together. They never stayed apart for even an hour. She loved his hands, and those hands loved her body. But now that time is gone. She was younger then, and now she feels she has nothing left that could attract her husband. Suddenly, Chloe adds that David also admitted he had never cheated before. This hurts Catherine deeply. Chloe tries to comfort her and suddenly kisses her. Catherine pulls away and runs. She goes to Michael's piano concert where her husband is already waiting. Later, Catherine again sees David chatting with a waitress. David compliments the lotion Catherine is wearing, but the lotion actually belongs to Chloe. Catherine leaves the event and rushes to the hotel, where she pulls Chloe away from one of her clients. Back in the room, Catherine nervously begins undressing Chloe but becomes embarrassed. Chloe takes control and gives Catherine pleasure herself. Later, a taxi drives them both home. Chloe learns where Catherine lives, and Catherine asks her to forget about her husband. Chloe takes the same hair clip from her bag and insists Catherine keep it as a gift, saying it once belonged to her mother. At the ballet, the hair clip was only an excuse to meet Catherine. Chloe hopes they will meet again, but Catherine is already tired of everything. At home, her angry husband is waiting. David asks who the man is. He believes Catherine is cheating on him. Catherine throws accusations back at him and says he flirts with every woman he sees. Their son, Michael, interferes in the argument. Later at work, Catherine finds many messages asking her to call back, and all of them are from Chloe. Chloe also sends a photo of them lying naked in bed. Chloe is already waiting in the clinic reception with flowers. Catherine compliments her beauty, but says they have gone too far and it is time to stop. She offers Chloe a large check to end everything, but Chloe refuses. She says what happened between them was real. Chloe then goes to the ice rink where Michael plays hockey. She flirts with him and gives him a cassette of his favorite band. Even there, she cannot resist mentioning Catherine. When Catherine returns home, she hears familiar music and realizes her son has been with Chloe. Immediately, Catherine receives another message. Chloe says she met David again. According to her,
David said that when he touches his wife, she does not want him. Those words hurt Catherine deeply. She invites Chloe to meet in a cafe in 1 hour and drinks alcohol for courage. David also arrives at the cafe, irritated because Catherine pulled him away from work during exam time. She wants them to finally tell the truth about everything they have been hiding. David admits that he lied about his birthday. He says he simply didn't want to feel closer to retirement, but he insists he never slept with anyone. At that moment, Chloe enters the cafe and approaches their table, but David does not recognize her at all. Chloe runs out. Everything she told Catherine was her own invention. Catherine still has to talk with her husband. David says that many women have tempted him, but he never gave in even once. Eventually, he leaves disappointed because Catherine called him out of work only for this conversation. Outside, Catherine finally tells him the truth about Chloe in the fantasies she invented about him. She also admits that over the years, David only becomes more handsome while she feels like she is fading into the background. Catherine confesses that she slept with Chloe. She says that over time, they have turned from lovers into friends, and that change feels irreversible. She no longer knows how to attract her husband. David responds by passionately kissing her. Meanwhile, Chloe approaches the Stewart house where Michael is alone. She enters the house and asks him to show her the parents' bedroom. There, she finds the hair clip she once gave Catherine and begins undressing. Strangely, Chloe only reaches satisfaction when she looks at Catherine's shoes. Catherine returns home and walks into the bedroom where she sees Chloe and Michael in her bed. She immediately sends Michael out of the room. Chloe becomes hysterical and says that Catherine cannot simply buy her and throw her away like trash. She says she slept with Michael because he has the same eyes as Catherine and that they could become a couple, although she would rather be with Catherine herself. Michael runs back into the house to see what is happening. Chloe grabs the hair clip and accidentally cuts her hand. Suddenly, she presses the hair clip against Catherine's throat and demands a kiss. Catherine obeys, but when she sees her son, she pushes Chloe away. Chloe falls through the window, grabs the frame for a moment, loses her grip, and falls from the second floor, dying instantly. Despite everything that happened, this strange and disturbing story seems to bring the family closer together. Now, Catherine keeps wearing Chloe's hair clip in her memory. In the end, the story of Chloe is not just about jealousy or betrayal. It is about how suspicion and insecurity can slowly destroy trust inside a relationship. Catherine believed her husband was cheating and decided to test him instead of talking to him honestly. But the experiment she started quickly spiraled out of control. What began as a simple attempt to uncover the truth turned into manipulation, obsession, and emotional chaos that affected everyone in the family. Chloe herself was not just a stranger passing through their lives. She became a catalyst that exposed every hidden crack in Catherine and David's marriage. Their fears, their distance from each other, and the loneliness they both tried to ignore were suddenly impossible to hide. In the end, Chloe's tragic death forces the family to confront everything that happened. The lies, the jealousy, and the misunderstandings all come to the surface, and while the story ends with the family appearing closer than before, the events leave behind a complicated reminder. Sometimes the greatest danger in a relationship is not betrayal itself, but the fear of it. And when trust disappears, even a single suspicion can change everything.